Okay, breaking news. The Chicago Bears, a franchise that has been around since 2 years after World War One, that's when they originated, they have never fired a head coach during a season until now. Matt Eberflus, in the over 100-year history, becomes the first head coach to be fired in the middle of a season. I didn't think it was going to happen. I was kind of laughing at some of these comments saying, oh, he's got to be gone now. I'm kind of thinking like, hey, it's the Bears. It's not what they do. Well, everything's not what you do until you do it. And finally, Eberflus has been the guy who has been, fired mid-season. It's very fascinating for several reasons. Obviously, the biggest reason is, I saw on some like non-sports Reddits, they were posting things about Matt Eberflus and his decision. It had gotten that big. Obviously, Thanksgiving games are huge, especially that first Thanksgiving game. That's the one where usually you throw it on as all the relatives arrive, right? That's one that people pay attention to. So you're looking at the ending, and that was quite frankly, an embarrassment by the Chicago Bears. And I think that was probably playing more of a role than anything. In a weird sort of way, had the team just gotten blown out by the Lions, I don't know if he loses his job. But because they had a chance to win, and he, to be honest, kind of blew it at the end there. And we can discuss, was it his fault? Was it Caleb Williams' fault? I have a video on this channel kind of doing exactly that. Check that out if you're interested. But, at the end of the day, it's a rookie quarterback. He has to keep his rookie quarterback prepared. So even if it is Williams' fault, it's still kind of Eberflus' fault. Of course, it's not just this one game, right? Eberflus has gotten a lot of criticism as of late for some, I think some valid concerns, some unvalid concerns as well, but mostly valid concerns. I think as a general rule, this is not a team that has, I feel like, typically looked great on the X's and O's department and on the game management side of things as well. Definitely some decisions that have gone poorly. And again, when you have a bad break like this in a Thanksgiving game, yeah, that's going to get you fired on most teams. I'm a little surprised it happened with the Bears, just given their history. Here's an interesting wrinkle in all of this. So Thomas Brown, if you remember, Thomas Brown started the season as the Bears passing game coordinator. They fired their offensive coordinator because things were not looking very good. They went with Thomas Brown as the offensive coordinator, and things were looking a lot better. These past 3 weeks Caleb Williams has looked significantly better and taken strides in the positive direction. They're now making Thomas Brown the interim head coach. I'm a little curious about if that's the right call or not, because for me personally, I'm kind of sitting here saying, do you want to have him not be just the offensive coordinator? He's doing a pretty good job of Caleb Williams this past month or so. Do you want to take him away from that and have him focus on other things? I might have, a lot of times, usually like the special teams coordinator gets the interim head coaching job. Listen, Thomas Brown deserves it. I get it, because what he has done, but it is surprising. So what a year for Thomas Brown, going from not even a coordinator to an interim head coach. That's pretty good. So I'm sure he's got to be pumped up about that. Here's the other weird thing I have to say. So Matt Eberflus they had him do a press conference this morning. To be honest, I think that's a mistake by Chicago. I don't know why. Listen, I get that no one's thrilled with Matt Eberflus, all that stuff, but why do we have to have him do the press conference? If you know you're going to fire him, maybe, it's possible, maybe the ownership didn't love what he said in the press conference. I'm sure they didn't love what he said yesterday when he said, I like what we did there. Maybe this decision was made after the press conference. Okay, possibly. But I feel like if you're even making the decision, wouldn't it make sense to just say, you know what, hey, let's postpone this press conference for another day, and then you can make that call? It is kind of, I feel like, embarrassing to have him go do a press conference, kind of, discuss where things are at, only to then get fired immediately after. That's just kind of how I view it. Again, I know a lot of people are going to say, who cares? He was a bad coach. But I don't know. Still a person. Still probably not the way they should have handled it, in my opinion. So Eberflus is out as Bears head coach. I do wonder, what do you do now with the Chicago Bears? I think, for one thing, this is a bad decision. It was a bad decision to keep Eberflus here. Eberflus, I don't think was a horrible head coach. Like, he wasn't Hugh Jackson, right? Like there has been worse head coaches. He wasn't a good head coach. It was time to move on. We knew it was time to move on last year, but because the defense did start to play better towards the second half of the year, it was almost one of those things where they felt like they didn't want to. They felt like it wasn't fair to him to get rid of him a year early. But I sometimes feel like teams view these things the wrong way, and I think the way you should view it is, can we get a better head coach? And I don't know if Ben Johnson joins the Bears last year, but maybe he does. Maybe he's a big Caleb Williams fan, and maybe this year that the Bears have been kind of underwhelming, maybe he's less likely to take that job, right? I do think Ben Johnson's going to be on the list. You have some other guys like Liam Cohen of the Buccaneers is an offensive coordinator doing some nice stuff. I could see him getting some eyeballs. And at the end of the day, that's what they're going to do, right? That's what the Bears are going to do, is they're going to hire an offensive guy. You saw this with the Dolphins and Tua. Go out and get Mike McDaniel, because we want to know what we have in our quarterback. And I think this is part of the thing about defensive coordinators, right? Hiring defensive coordinators to be head coaches. Part of why I usually don't like it, with some notable exceptions, because it's an offensive league. Offense matters so much, and you can get such an edge if you get a Kyle Shanahan or a Mike McDaniel or Ben Johnson. Look at what the Lions are doing. If you can get somebody like that, then you're just in a situation where, it gives you such an edge. And if you have an offensive coordinator, like what the Lions are probably going to go through in this offseason, is you have the threat of losing the offensive coordinator. Detroit was lucky in that Ben Johnson wanted to stay because he liked the culture so much, but that's not always going to happen everywhere. So unless you have a Dan Campbell who builds a culture so great that even the great offensive coordinator doesn't want to leave, usually you need to just hire a great offensive coordinator as the head coach. So yeah, I mean, it's a new era for these Chicago Bears, but I think it's the right move at the end of the day. I don't love having him do a press conference and then firing him right after, but at the end of the day, you don't want to lose the locker room. I mean, you had players like DJ Moore said, I don't know why we didn't call a timeout there. Like, I think Rome Odunze said something like, I thought the players did enough to win the game. So like, when people are saying that, at a certain point, you don't want you don't want the brakes to fall off here in the final stretch. You want to try to build a winning culture as much as possible. And if you've lost the locker room, you got to get rid of that guy. It lets you get a head start on hiring a new head coach. It's the right move. So yeah, surprising that the Bears finally did it, but I think it's a good call for them. And yeah, 100% they will be hiring an offensive-minded guy. Maybe Matt Nagy is available. I don't know, but yeah, those are my thoughts on Matt Eberflus fired from the Chicago Bears. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think? I'll mention if you watched the end of this video. Thanks for watching. You can check out my movie channel if you're interested. There's a link in the description below for that. But yeah, thanks again for watching. I do appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.